Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games. Back with another cool arcade game repair video for you this evening. You don't see this one too much. Bump and Jump. Made by Bally Midway. I think this is only the third one of these we've had. Haven't had one in a really long time. So, our friend Jonathan, you know, the asteroids guy, he was out picking up some games one day in Tennessee, which is a few hours from us. And the guy happened to have this too. And Jonathan, he's just such a nice guy. He didn't really want a bump and jump, but he knew that I would probably buy it. So he ended up texting me. And I told him, sure, I'd like to buy that bump and jump. And he put it on the truck and he brought it here. And he told me exactly what was wrong with it. It's broke. Looks like somebody's already started. We don't like it when they do this. Can you see what they've been doing? Yep, that's right. They started parting it out. So they took the monitor out, sold the monitor probably, and it had a nice little bezel, little tinted bezel, kind of like what Miss Pac-Man's got. And they probably sold it too, or threw it away, or whatever. But we got all the pieces what we need, I think, because we've got the marquee, we got the control panel, the board is down in there, the cabinet's in decent shape, and we've got the bezel. So really, all we need is the monitor, a good working monitor board. My phone made a weird sound. I'm hoping we're still recording. And we need the tinted part. But I've got all those pieces. Here's a G07 tube right there. It doesn't really have too much burn in, doesn't look like. Which you can get away with a little bit of burn in because we're going to put a piece of tinted plexi on top. You'll see. And I've got these pieces here. Oh, Lord, Ronnie. I think Ronnie's been moving my stuff. So that goes on the left of the tube. This goes on the right of the tube. A little tinted bezel goes there. I'm just going to have to show you, I guess. I think these are the right size, probably. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably right. All right, I need my plastic piece, though. Where's my plastic piece? What'd you do to it? There it is. Okay. So that goes on the left of the tube. That goes on the right of the tube. And see those little holes there? This little baby's going to lay right on top of the tube. I'm going to screw it in with those holes. And see how that's recessed? This little tinted piece goes in there like that. And there's some little screws and clips that hold it all together. You'll see. And then we're going to need these pieces. Those two bolts. I wasn't prepared for this. Bolt into there. See those holes there? That hole, that hole. That's going to hold that together. And see that one and that one. We're going to go right there. See how this is going to work here? It's all going to slide down in there. I took that off of Pac-Man or a Galaga a while back, and I've been hoarding them. I keep everything. So that's going to be what we got to do. Somebody has repainted this at some point. And originally I wasn't going to repaint it, but then I noticed this side. I don't know. The side's pretty good shape. It's just at the top. And they matched the color pretty good. That was the original color. And I don't know if I want to repaint it or not. I got to go buy the paint. Yada, yada, yada. I'll probably just repaint the black. And if I put some fresh black T-molding on it, it might help it out. I'm just trying to make it an 8. Okay? You know about the 8s. Do we need to go over it again? You can't make them a 10. You have to make it an 8. Because the time and money it's going to take you to take it from an 8 to a 10, you're just never going to recoup it. But anyway, oh, I forgot my monitor board. I got a little Geo 7 here too. Found this in the back room the other day. So I got to rebuild this baby. Change the flyback, change the caps, change that little resistor there, reflow everything, yada, yada, yada. Put a new connector on it. You guys know the deal. So I kind of got to get that working first. I got to get the monitor in the tube, the tent around it, the little brackets on it, and we're going to slide it down in there, hook everything up so we can tell that the board is in fact broke like we think it is. Well, I got my monitor all fixed up. It's probably going to need some tweaking. It looks like I'm a little too high that way and all that, but I like to get it working over here on the bench before I put it in the cabinet, just because it's easier to get to everything. So now I'm going to put my braces on, and then I'll put it in the cabinet, and then we'll probably have to do some adjustments and stuff. But we don't even know if our board works yet, so we'll see. All right, we got the monitor in. I don't have it mounted over here yet because those crossbars are slightly different than the original bump and jump ones. That's what's kind of annoying when people part games out. There's no way anybody needed those crossbars. They probably got thrown in the trash. And here I am cobbling another set back together when, you know, it had the crossbars. They probably took those bars off to put a monitor in a different game and threw those in the garbage. It's just all those little pieces like that you lose when people start parting stuff out. We like to part them back in. I couldn't tell you how many games we parted in over the years. People give up on them, and then we buy them and we part them back in. We like doing that. I got my monitor out of the floor. I had an extra monitor there. I got out of the floor. I got my bezels and all that stuff. I'm going to get out of the floor and back into a game where it's supposed to be. And then we'll get this game back out to somebody who's been looking for a bump and jump probably. But anyway, we got to hook up the monitor. I don't know anything about this game. I got very little information. Really, all I know is it was broke, basically. He started telling me something, yada, 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 blows fuse, blah, 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 blah. But then he got to the price, and the price was so good, I had to buy it. The cabinet was worth that. People start trying to tell me what's wrong with it, and all I hear is blah, 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 broke, blah, blah, it's broke. So that's all that really matters. I mean, obviously, it's going to need some work. See if I can get my power hooked in here. maybe. Yep. Ground. I don't really care too much about these grounds, but since it's here, I might as well clip it on. Does anybody know what that hippie said? Power supply, power supply, power supply. So this is the original power supply. That's the game board. And we just put the monitor back in. These original style power supplies like that, they rarely ever still work. You rarely ever see one that is still working fine. They're in like Super Pac-Man, Galaga used a similar power supply like that. Most of the time people update them to a switching power supply, which is probably what I'm going to do. Some of you guys might not like that. But, you know, I try to think long term. If I put a switching power supply over here and, you know, the thing dies in 5 or 10 years, I can just mail somebody another power supply, and if they can use a screwdriver, they can swap it out. But if this one dies, I'm not going to be able to know exactly what's wrong with it. I'm not going to be able to send them this resistor and have them solder it in and all that. So typically we'll put a switching power supply in them if we can. But I'm hoping that's going to be my issue. I'm hoping it's not a board problem. It could be though. If it is, probably pass that back to Ronnie and see what he can do. But let's plug it in. I've not plugged it in. So I'll get it all plugged in and I'll be back and we'll see what happens. All right, I got it plugged in. Here's my little interlock switch. Let's see what it does. Sounds like the monitor came on. So all that really tells us is we've got AC coming from up there to the monitor, because we already knew our monitor worked because it was on the bench. See if it tells us anything. No image. I don't know how long. I think it boots up pretty quick if it was working. All right, so now we got to find a good spot on the power. Good spot on the board to check the power supply, I meant. So I'll find a good spot and I'll be back. Well, I've got my black on the ground, red on the 5. I should be getting 5 volts. I'm getting 1 volt. That's not going to cut it. I actually checked it. The 12 actually is working, but the 5 is way low. So I'm gonna have to figure out the best way to put in a switcher in this baby. I got to tap into my AC down here somewhere, and I'll probably just wire in I'll hook up to some of these wires over here. I just like to put the switchers in there when I can. Like it or not, I'm putting a switching power supply in this cabinet today. Got to put it in there today. And then after that, we can chase it a little bit further. We may still have a bad board, but we got to get the power over there first. Some of the chips look a little crusty. There, there, and there. But power supply, power supply, power supply. All right, so I looked up the bump and jump pinout. And we've got the part side. That's the side with all the parts on it. And then we've got the solder side, which is the side with all the solder on it. And as you can see, pin 1 is going to be our 12 volt. Pin 2 is our 5 volt. We've got our ground. And then on this particular game, we've actually got 2 boards. So we've got our video board down here. We've got some grounds on and some 5s on. So then I'm going to take my little power supply. I'm going to put some spade connectors on those wires that they're telling me. And then I'm just going to put them on the power supply, and that should get us a good 5 volt going to it. And then we'll see where to go from there. All right. So I got my new power supply in. My new switching power supply. I got it mounted up there. I usually leave the original one in just in case, 10, 20 years down the line, somebody decides they want to put the original back in. They could. All they'd have to do is put a new connector on those wires. But our power supply had issues, and I like to update them. To me, they're just more reliable that way. And, if that power supply goes bad, if the customer knows how to use a Phillips screwdriver, I can just mail him another power supply and he can swap it out. That's my theory anyway. I know some people they want it exactly how it was, and I'm not really a stickler for total originality when it comes to the power supply. So let's see if that'll do anything. We've got sound, or we've got something. Well, it kind of looks like it's playing, but we've got something going on, obviously, with the display. Remember, we had this monitor on the bench working, so we know the monitor's good. It kind of looks like some kind of video ground issue to me, but let's see if it'll play or do anything. Added credits. Looks like I'm driving. My jump button works. So it seems to be playing, but we got some kind of video ground or something going on. And the video comes down this connector and in this back board. So I'm going to take that connector off, clean it, and see if I see anything that looks out of place. Well, all that was fine. I made a rookie mistake. Some of you probably know what I did. I'm just going to show you. Everything will focus. You see what the issue is there? I got in a hurry putting the monitor in, and I missed the connector by 1 pin. So everything was shifted slightly over. So the green's on the red, and the red's not even hooked up. And the ground is off a pin too, so that's why we didn't have any video ground. Let's see if I can change that. It's always the hardest part is getting light where I can film it. I could just reach in there and move it, but you guys still can't see. So I'm going to reach in and I'm going to move it. Bam. So that should be fixed. All right, let's see what it does now. Well, that looks a lot better. That bar you're seeing, that's not in person. It's just something the camera does. We're still too bright, and the picture needs to come down a little bit, but we're not going to adjust that yet because I want to put the bezel on there and get everything buttoned up, and then we'll start adjusting. Okay? Let's see. So this piece clips underneath these two bolts. That one's in. That one's in there. Had to use a socket. Normally I use my pliers, but I couldn't get in there with them. That one. There we go. I had to look around for a while, and I kept digging and digging, and I actually found 4 of the clips and screws that I need. These are original screws and clips. These are from like a Miss Pac-Man or a Galaga, but they're all the same. And then this piece goes in there like so. You don't want to tighten those up all the way yet because you got to be able to move the clips around to hold the tinted plexiglass here in a minute. Can't see. There we go. Windex. Probably wonder why I didn't clean this before I put it on. Because I didn't want to. Had to get this live action shot. Things I gotta do. Make a YouTube video around here. That's clean enough. What do you think? It's fine. All right. Now we got to clean off our tinted plexiglass. Make sure you use that commercial grade Windex. See how it's too bright too down here? See how that's like a whitish gray? That means all your colors are adjusted right. If it was red, your red would be too high. If it was purple, your blue and your red would be too high. Or your green would be low, actually. So when it's white like that, all your colors are adjusted good. So I dropped the 1/4 inch screwdriver. And it's one of them real long ones too. You'd think I'd be able to find it on the floor, but I can't. You wouldn't even think that'd be possible. So I had to get another one. And I'll find the other one later, I guess. Hopefully. Tighten up your clips. All right, so now I'm going to turn down the brightness a little bit. That's pretty good. Time for our bezel. We've got to take the control panel off though. Slide it back a little bit. Almost forgot to clean the front of the tinted glass, plexi. Supposed to remind me. See, we're a little too blue now. We'll get it. Starting to look like something now. All right, so I'm gonna I'm just going to do a few more things to it. I think I'm going to change the T-molding to kind of give it a little bit more fresher look, because it's cracked in areas, and you'll see the new black T-molding will just make it look a little bit fresher. And I'm going to clean it up a little bit, and then we'll try it out and see how it plays. All right, here it is. Got it all finished up. I think it turned out pretty good, considering we started with a game that somebody started parting out. I decided not to paint the sides. I'm just going to leave that for the next guy, because it's supposed to have side art on it anyway, and the control panel's got some wear on it. So I'm just going to sell it for a couple $100 cheaper than I would if I would have bought the side art and painted it. I think it looks pretty good. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. I'm just going to send this one on down the line. I got my coin door lights in there. I got the lock on it. Monitor turned out pretty good. It's got a real nice marquee on it. This is glass. So I'm going to set up the tripod, and we'll play it for a few minutes and see what we can do. All right, here we go. I'm hoping the video turns out okay. I'm filming this on New Year's Day, so Happy New Year to everybody. It's probably going to be a few weeks before you see this video. But this game kind of reminds me of Spy Hunter. You know, it's made by Bally, just like Spy Hunter. It's pretty similar to me. But you basically just try to bump the cars off the road and try to make them crash. Then you gotta jump. You gotta bump and jump. You can't jump if you run into the wall. I jumped too soon to try to avoid the wreck. I'm getting worse. Oh, come on. See, he dropped one of those kind of like the guys on Spy Hunter. Shouldn't have tried to move. But there you go, you get the idea. Obviously, I'm not very good at it. But we don't really play the games too much. We have more fun fixing them. Fixing the game is a game in itself. But there you go. Bally's Bump and Jump. Thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.